There is unity in the oppression. There must be absolute unity and determination in the response.
Joining. There's already a massive graphics team, a massive video team, and it's so exciting for me because our existing, like I told you guys earlier on, we had between 40 and 50 people who've been working on this movement for the last 3 months. They have been so overworked. Like, I constantly feel guilty because there's so much work to do. And they're all such beautiful, good people, and they try so hard, and we've achieved a lot. But I'm always seeing, you know, our website needs to be better, and this needs to be better. Our web team is now, we've got more than 10 developers for the web team just sitting there waiting to build out our website. And there's probably hundreds more that haven't been added to the web team yet, but that have the skill sets. Professional front-end web designers, you know, things we could never afford to pay for commercially, we have now at our fingertips, ready to help Julian and ready to promote the movement. So I'm just amazed because what this means for our team in terms of the pressure we'll take off them, and what this means for our movement in terms of our ability to really professionally advocate for and promote Julian's freedom and WikiLeaks press freedoms is just astronomical. Absolutely, I'm flabbergasted by the response. I wouldn't be surprised if within 24 hours we have the best part of 1,000 member team here, and that is just unprecedented, and I'm so privileged.
The fight for Julian Assange is a fight of good versus evil. And if you want to be with the good side, if you want to fight for your rights, this is the way you can now actively contribute. The New World Order is really a business club that doesn't include Russia or China. The US today controls 25% of global GDP. And to maintain that, they know they have to keep Russia small, which is only above 1%, and they need to combat China because they are the emerging new world power. And the CIA and the NSA and the majority of the intellectual community leadership is in the pockets of those who sell arms and security. But the problem that I'm describing here is purely economic. This is a business. The business of war and the business of conflict. And as long as that business is thriving, these people are going to remain in power and are going to use political leaders and entire countries around the world as their puppets. You know, they are running things. They are the puppeteers. They make the decisions. Julian Assange is the single biggest threat to that entire organization around the world because he tells us, he shows us. The documents are there, the proof is there. Everything we need to know is out in the open because of WikiLeaks. Stand the truth. If we know what the people in power that we have elected are doing and how they are being manipulated into doing the things they do, they can't do it anymore. If we know what's really going on, they lose power. With knowledge, we lose ignorance. They don't want us to have the knowledge, the wisdom to make the choices that will lead to a better world and peace in the world. They want us to be dumb, to eat their propaganda of the media that they pay, of the people that they control, so that they can continue their game of global business domination. That is all this is. It's all about money. It's about shifting tax dollars from your pocket into the pockets of billionaires that are running this game. As you can see in the case of Julian Assange, these people, they don't have any feelings. They don't have any heart. They don't have compassion for the people that die in their attacks. You know, the families that are torn apart or hearts broken. They don't care about that at all. All they care about is their balance sheet and the dollars that they have at their disposal, how they can protect that and increase that. That's all they care about. So it's really, like I said, this is a fight of good against evil. We are the good. Julian Assange is good. WikiLeaks is good. Those people who are causing these wars and conflicts around the world for profit are evil. And it is our job to expose them and to stop them. Working together on the side of good than the Pentagon and the US empire have to try and take down the truth tellers. And we're going to stand up for truth tellers and the truth. And we are starting with that today.
I would point out that the money is the root of all evil. I forget who said that, but it happens to be true. And what we have now is a lot more than what General Eisenhower, President Eisenhower, talked about. He talked about the military-industrial complex. Now we have the military-industrial, congressional, intelligence, media complex. Media is the biggie. Why do I say media? Because the same corporations that profiteer on all this war making and all this tension are controlled by, the media is controlled by these same corporations. But it wasn't the Intelligence Committee, it wasn't 17 agents, it wasn't 3 agents, it was hand-picked analysts, right, that came to these broad conclusions about how WikiLeaks got this information from Russians and then tried to destroy Hillary, okay? That's the legend. Well, WikiLeaks got a very meaningful left-hand compliment, as we say in the States, from these same analysts, because someone asked them, why did they choose WikiLeaks to do this? And the analyst said, because WikiLeaks has a very clean record of not distorting anything or embroidering anything on their, everybody believes that, their record is clean. And say, holy Moses, what a neat little compliment from these unconscionable charlatans, really, who are trying to advance their careers by bending to the prevailing winds at the upper reaches of their agency. So that's kind of an amusing detail, but it's very relevant, and I think it's very telling that they gave this left-handed compliment to WikiLeaks expressly because WikiLeaks has never been caught in adulterating any of the documentary evidence they put out. And as a former intelligence analyst, just like detectives or investigative reporters, documentary evidence is what we lust after. I mean, we lust after this kind of evidence because it's the best available. And it's too bad that that disgruntled person within the Democratic National Committee copied all those emails from Hillary and from the DNC, and then gave that thumb drive to Julian. But it's Hillary's own damn fault. They're not embroidered. They're not falsified. That's what she did. And when I think, just the last thing I'll say, when I think that we could have Bernie Sanders instead of that clown that we've got as president right now. My God! And whose fault is that? It's Hillary Clinton's fault.
over the past few weeks, while I've had certain interactions with people, I've been absolutely stunned by this germ of a lie about Julian got himself into it, he's working for the Russians, he could leave the embassy anytime. These are propaganda seeds that have been very successfully sown via the mainstream media. And I have a particular friend I'm thinking of who I love dearly, and he's an amazing person and a very loving person. But he actually categorically told me that Julian is simply a tool. And I tried to sort of nail him on where he had got this idea. Until people stop believing what they hear via mainstream news media, via talking heads who I can only say I can see flames licking at their heels for how they are betraying their fellow man. I do consider that there is a movement now, a raising of consciousness, a raising of awareness, that in hand with what we're doing here to protect Julian, there must be an equal effort to essentially dead agent the mainstream media by showing what the propaganda is, what the seeds are. And I know that Suzie and Elizabeth have pointed out how the replication of this idea that Julian could leave, at any point, has entered the consciousness of most of the population. I think unless the curtains are drawn back on how the propaganda is sown and what previous propaganda has been sown, and then absolutely dead agent it by showing what the truth is, that people will start to at least stop forwarding these seeds of propaganda, to at least acknowledge the fact that they really can't trust the mainstream news media.
In democracies, or the pseudo-democracies that we are evolving into, wars are a result of lies. The Vietnam War and the push for US involvement was a result of the Gulf of Tonkin incident. A lie. The Iraq War famously is a result of lies. Wars in Somalia are a result of lies. The Second World War and the German invasion of Poland was a result of carefully constructed lies. That is war by media. Let us ask ourselves, of the complicit media, which is the majority of the mainstream press, what is the average death count attributed to each journalist? When we understand that wars come about as a result of lies peddled to the British public and the American public and the publics all over Europe and other countries, then who are the war criminals? It is not just leaders, it is not just soldiers, it is journalists. Journalists are war criminals. And why one might think that that should lead us to a state of despair, that the reality that is constructed around us is constructed by liars, is constructed by people who are close to those that they are meant to be policing. It should lead us also to an optimistic understanding, because if wars can be started by lies, peace can be started by truth. So that is our task, and it is your task. Go and get the truth. Get into the ballpark and get the ball, and give it to us, and we'll spread it all over the world.
Yay! Assange.